Tonight, we are talking all things social media marketing. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be a great time. Stay tuned.
Our goal is simple: to help you achieve the dream and vision you first had when you thought about starting a business. We're here to make growing your business less complicated. There are building blocks to build a sustainable business. We promise to seek them out and address them all. The Better Your Business Show starts now.
To the Better Your Business Show. I'm Natalie, your host, and my PIC, the coach for business herself, Miss Shanna Mavis.
Hey.
Hey. Tonight we are talking about digital growth through heartfelt social strategies. And I am super excited about this conversation.
Yeah. A lot of people are, or I guess people, but business owners specifically are using social media. And so it's really just digging into how do we use it more effectively? How do we make sure that what we're doing is working? I hear that a lot from business owners. They're posting, maybe not consistently, but even when they are posting consistently, they're not seeing the results that they're expecting. And so I really want to have that conversation tonight to help us understand so that we're not just spinning our wheels, wasting our time, right?
Yeah, exactly. Not just posting to post. I was laughing about this because, it's like they have that big, the joke on social media is welcome to the dark side. Over here, we make money on social media, right? So I'm excited about it because it's true. If you're going to be spending your time there, I know for most people that are posting that their business or, their independent contractors or whatever, they do want to convert those to sales, but most people are just throwing that spaghetti noodle against the wall and hoping it sticks. And so hopefully this will help them get clarity on if they need to shift. Or, one of the things I was thinking about too is maybe they're doing a great job. Maybe we're doing a great job. Obviously, I'm going to be taking Jordan's feedback tonight too, right? And, maybe it's just more time in the game. I was looking at, her name's Lori something. I forget her last name. But she was talking about she had her podcast for 5.5 years before she even started getting recognized. Now, she's everyone. Well, I can't remember her last name. Everyone knows who she is, right? But she's big in her industry. But it took her 5.5 years of just being consistent and doing the work. And I sent you that thing today, right? And it said if you've posted more than 21 podcasts, you're in the top 1%, which we were recognized last year for being in the top 1% of business podcasts. So, maybe it's just that confirmation of just keep doing what you're doing. The harvest is coming. Keep planting the seeds. You're doing the right thing. So she knows her stuff so good. I enjoyed our pregame conversation with her. I mean, she has over 20 years experience in her field. She's worked on some big movies that people are familiar with, right? The Lord of the Rings trilogy, The Voice. She worked on Cards Against Humanity, which we owned. You own that, Shava? Yeah, I knew you did. Who introduced me to that was Fitzroy too, of all people. But yeah, over 20 years. And I actually reached out to her on social media because she talks a lot about visual branding. And I noticed her visual branding and her showing her before and afters of her clients. She was doing a brand challenge. And so she's practicing what she's preaching. The results are there, right? She's just not coming on social media and saying, hey, right, she's really doing it and showing the proof of that. So she's an expert in her field. So we have Jordan Duvall with us with Ignite Your Soul Brand. So Jordan, welcome to the Better Your Business Show. Can you hear us?
Can you? Oh, I can hear you. Can you add me?
Okay, yeah, we got you. All right, welcome to the show. Hey, we're happy that you're here to talk marketing. I love this subject.
We lost her.
Uh-oh. Well, we've had her for 35 minutes, no challenges. I thought. I thought my internet again.
Okay.
I'm going to put her
back over here. Okay. We're going to bring her back.
Hello.
Yay. Okay. All right. There she is. All right. So Jordan Duvall, and I put your website on there as well, so that people can go in and learn more about you. And I know that you have a, oh my gosh, I want to say product guide. I know that's not what it's called. On your site, you have some type of guide, I thought.
A freebie? Yeah, I have a guide. I have the brand essence guide.
Brand Essence Guide. Yes. So I thought that was really cool. If anyone wants to go over to your site and get your Brand Essence Guide, and that way they can check that out and use that towards what you're doing. So tell us a little bit about you. I was dying when I saw the Star Wars trilogy. The Lord of the Rings. Did you know that, Shanna?
No, I was shocked when you said it. This was my first time hearing about it. And I was like, okay, I've heard it. While I've not watched them, I've heard of it, right? Natalie, you know that.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it is a global phenomenon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had the pleasure to work on Lord of the Rings and Shrek and Memoirs of a Geisha and The Voice. Just so many amazing projects.
That's great. And so what made you get into the role you're in now?
So, I started my business about 7 years ago and, really wanted to, really started from wanting to be location independent because wanted to raise my family somewhere outside of LA that valued, more Oh, did I go out? I guess
No,
just
you're
me.
good.
Oh, and then okay. The valued family more, and so really looked around to figure out like what was another place that we could move. But because I was from Los Angeles and I was designing movie posters, there really wasn't much latitude of where to go. So I knew that if I wanted to be able to, raise my family elsewhere, I needed to create a business that could be portable. And so that really was the impetus to figure out, well, how do I take all these skill sets that I know from marketing and advertising and branding and design and photography and hair and makeup and strategy and put it all together so that, I could create a business that would give me more freedom.
I love it. And so obviously you're doing that.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
you're making a difference for all these people, helping them with their marketing using what you've known. So, and I know we asked this before, but I think it's so important. What do you see as the biggest challenge that people are having when they're starting their marketing?
Well, I think, there's lots of different facets to it, but I think ultimately, as business owners, once you become a business owner, you sign up to be, the Mad Hatter and you're wearing all the hats. And so where if maybe you had a job, you were doing one specific thing, now you're expected to do all of these different roles, right? You're now the copywriter and the graphic designer and the tech VA and all of these things. And, we're not all skilled in all these different areas. We have our area of expertise. And so a lot of times when people are out there and they're, doing their own brand and they're launching themselves out there, there's a lot of like trial and error that goes on through the discovery process. And it's like a public trial and error, right? And so
Yeah.
you're trying on all these things while you're out there and you're promoting yourself. And it's like one day you're this and one day you're that. And it can be confusing to your audience. And so, I think that is the biggest challenge is that people can tend to use their emotions to drive their decisions around how they present themselves versus being very strategic of, who am I? Who am I targeting? What's my positioning? What is my messaging? What is my offer? And then leading with that and being more intentional with that versus just kind of like winging it and just not really taking the seriousness of how it affects people's perception of your business.
Oh, I wish you hadn't, I feel shamed for winging it all the time. But it's, I know that when we were talking before the show, it was just something that all of the things that you mentioned, there were several things that you mentioned, and it's a nightmare for people like me because I hate thinking about a font choice. And I remember I'm listening to
Right.
you and I'm just like, yeah, I hate that because there's a million different choices and I don't know what looks good, right? I mean, I can look at something and I can be like, oh, okay, I like that, but I don't necessarily know how that's going to impact the end user.
Right.
So it's just like writing a whole, professional letter in Comic Sans, right? You're taught, hey, don't do that. That does not look good. But we go into business without really any guidelines like that, without,
Right.
or you're looking online and for every article you see that says do one thing this way, there's another one that says don't do that, right? So there's information all over the place. How do you help business owners, or what can business owners do to kind of like cut through all of that?
Well, I mean, one option is to, hire a professional that's, they're going to guide you. But if you're going to do it on your own, I think it's, you have to make the decision and stick with it, right? It's like, give yourself a week to play and experiment offline and then decide, and you're like, okay, this is what I'm going to go out with, right? Because I think that, changing your fonts and changing your colors and trying this graphic and trying that graphic, it gives this very, disconnected, um, creates a lot of lack of cohesion and consistency. And then, tactically that's what's happening, but subconsciously your audience is like, they're different. It's different all the time. Like, what is this really? How can I trust this business? Right. So I think that's really a key thing to realize, is that through that constant changing and that shifting, you're actually eroding the trust in your business.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was interesting because for myself, the last 3 years, I paid for someone. Well, not the last 3 years, but the first year and a half we were in the pandemic, I paid for social media marketing and all that stuff. And I was working on my website and I'm curious on your feedback on this. As I was working on things, one of the things that I discovered is I wasn't clear what I wanted my brand to be like necessarily, right? Like they were coming back with suggestions for me and nothing really kind of felt like me. And I felt like he had done so much, he asked me so many questions about me that I was really kind of shocked. Like, what kind of music do you listen to? And all these different questions. And I still felt like it didn't hit. So even afterwards, I was definitely the person who was changing her brand online. Now I justified it with, I didn't have a lot of followers yet. So thank you for putting it with my growing pains. But it took me a little while to kind of find who I felt I was, I guess, during that process. And I don't even know 100% if I still know what that is. I think I'm definitely more clear on a branding perspective. I know my voice. I know that I like a type of minimalistic vibe, but it took me a little while to get there. And I don't know if you have experience.
Well, and I think also your brand, I mean, especially with personal brands, right? It's different if you're like doing like a software or a widget or something like that. But if you're a service provider, you're a consultant, you're a coach, you're a creative, there's like an element of you that is woven into the brand. Over time, it's going to grow and have its own life, right? It's like kind of like having a baby, but it does stem from you. And I think that one thing that a lot of business owners and creatives, like where the disconnect comes from, is that the creative is trying to give their interpretation of the person instead of drawing out of the person what's already there, because the brand already exists, right? It's already woven into who this person is, right? What their vision is, their colors. And this is the work that I do inside of, we do inside of my company, is that we're drawing out that subconscious map that's already there and teaching you how to give it form. And I think that a lot of times creatives don't understand how to bring that out. And that's where the disconnect comes from, because they're like trying to gather what they want and they're giving their interpretation instead of allowing it to be sort of almost like a co-creation and guiding the client and pulling it out and then using their talent to mold that vision. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. It really does. Okay. Well, I'd love to talk a little bit more about social media, because there are so many different platforms out there. And you mentioned, I know pre-show, you were talking about storytelling, right? And we've had someone on to talk about branding and storytelling, but with all of the platforms, how do you know which one is the right one to tell your story?
It's a great question. I think, one, you have to think about, what do you enjoy? I think it really comes down to that, right? If you love Instagram, you're going to really enjoy being on Instagram. If you love Facebook, or vice versa, if you really don't like something, I think that it's really key to understand what you like, because it's going to be something you need to be present on, almost every day. So that's really key. And then thinking about like, well, what are the tactical and strategic things that go into building that platform, right? Like Instagram, there's a lot of layers. You've got stories and reels and, videos and all of these things. So you want to understand that. And also, where does your person live? If you're dealing with maybe more business owners or people in corporate, maybe LinkedIn's your spot. If you're dealing with more, like maybe there's like an age demographic, right? Like if your target audience is younger, maybe they're on TikTok. If they're older, maybe they're on Facebook. So it's thinking about those tactical things. But I think at the root, it's like, what do you enjoy spending time on? Like that should be like the main deciding factor. And then you can work out like what is the like algorithm like tricks to make this work?
What if it's none of them?
I was going to say, well, I've never heard anybody say that before, Jordan. I love that so much. Like, which one do you like to be on? So I don't have to be on all of them, is what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, if it's none of them, so there was a world where people generated business without using social media. So then you need to get creative, right? Maybe you're going and doing speaking events, you're going to networking events. If you really hate social media, then you got to get creative and use some old fashioned ways. Maybe you're getting magazine ads. Maybe you're doing cold calls. Social media is a really amazing tool. I think one thing that I've noticed just in my own journey is I think that especially if you're the face of your business, there's a lot of pressure to like share so much about your life. And it's like, maybe do you really need to share that about your life in order to be someone that somebody wants to hire? Right. So I think being able to set up boundaries of what is private and what is public can create a feeling of safety. So you don't feel this like attack all the time of I need to share everything about my life all the time in social media and just be on all the time. And I think that can be really draining.
Yes. Such a great point. I love that you brought that up. That is such a great point.
Yeah, because I'm one that Natalie knows this. I'm just not on social media. I'm on every platform, right? Because friends and family and all of the good things, but it's not a daily habit of mine. And so we've had to work out for the show. It's just like, okay, I'll go on this day and I'll go on that day so that I can,
Right.
repost or reshare. But I rely heavily on her. The marketing that I'm doing for my business, I have a digital marketing agency that's handling all of that for me because it's just not something that I enjoy. And I know that that's not my passion. It's not my skill set. And I don't want to spend my hours doing that, right? I'd rather be working with people, talking to people, trying to figure out how to do, like you said, what events can I go? And because I'm a face-to-face type of person, I don't trust a lot of social media as well. And so what I'd love to talk about is, you said building that trust, you're destroying it by continuously changing your brand. But are there specific ways that you can talk about where you can build your trust so that we can rely on that? We're not.
You cut out for a second. Can you say that last part again?
Yeah. So that I guess I'm just looking for strategies or tactics where business owners can really start to instill trust in their social media presence. Because a lot of us are so familiar with the Instagram life, right? You're just putting on your best face, everyone's happy and smiling. And then, as soon as the camera's off, you're at each other's throats. We all know people like that. And so it's just looking, how do you as a business owner instill trust in your brand?
Well, I think, if we kind of remove the confines of business, what makes you trust something, right? Whether it's like a person or business. Typically, it's reliability, it's consistency, right? It's so what you're going to get. Like if I'm out in a foreign country and I want to get a coffee and I see a Starbucks and I see something else that looks kind of sketchy, chances are I may go to the Starbucks, even though it's not like, cultural and like new in this place I'm at, because I know that I'm going to get what I got over here, right? It's a consistency. It's that trust. So I think that's sort of like thinking bigger picture of, well, how can you create consistency in social media, right? Like, maybe you don't want to go on 3 times a day, but you could show up every Monday or know that you're going to post this time. So I think it's really being honest with yourself of like, what can I consistently do and show up and make it a no matter what, because this is important to my business. And I think that again, if you think of yourself, right, as like you're the social media manager until you hire someone, if you hired a social media manager and they were supposed to go and post this time and do these things, and then they were just like, nah, I'm not really in the mood today, not gonna do it, it's cool, you'd fire them. So you have to be the person that you would want in your business. So, be honest, like what can you really stick to consistently, right? And I, over time, have people help me do the posting. Like I create the content, but they actually post it. So big picture, maybe you have someone help you. But if you're doing it yourself and you're like, I can consistently post 2 times a week. Great. Start there, because one, you're building trust in your audience and you're also building trust in yourself that you're following through with your word and you're making it non-negotiable. And so I think that's really huge. So that I think would be one piece. And then, that's like sort of showing up consistency. And then if you can have visual consistency, it's even better, right? Like you're using the same colors, you're using the same fonts, right? Maybe you have, if you've had a brand shoot, you have similar images. So again, it builds that trust, right? And I think that's really important, because then people know that they can rely on you, right? And if somebody's going to invest in you, they want to know that they're going to get what they pay for.
Yeah. I love that example of the Starbucks. That's so true. I mean, that was just a great way to explain it.
You know what you're going to get.
Well, I think too, it's a mindset thing too, looking at it as a connection. And I think that was one thing. I think a lot of business owners, a mistake they make is they're like, I'm just going to post stuff out and everyone's going to come and chase me down. And that's just never been my experience, right? It's like, build it. It's like post it and they will come. It doesn't work like that. I think that's just a
well, maybe after you're consistent for a while, right?
Maybe. I mean, I've been consistent for 7 years, and before that I had a network marketing business and I still reach out to people. Like I have conversations going with people. I'm building relationships with people.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of business owners don't realize saying, I don't want to be on social media. Great. How do you think most business happened before social media? Like relationships, right? Connecting, networking, referrals. So it's no different. It just happens to go through a screen now, right? And I think that a lot of times people don't think they have to get their hands dirty and get in there and get to know the people and have conversations with them. And that to me, like that, we really value that at Ignite Your Soul Brand, is really getting to know the people in our audience that, eventually some of them turn into clients, and having that relationship. Like, at least for me, when I get in as the creative director, I have a good sense of who they are because, I've built a relationship with them. And I think if people can look at it from that perspective, like I had to reframe my time that I spend in social media. Like, this is my relationship building time. And then it became fun for me, as opposed to like, I have to go return messages or I have to go do this. Mm-hmm. Changing that shifted it for me and made it more fun for me.
Yes, Shanna.
I was like, oh man,
on social media.
You make it sound so easy. But yeah, it really is.
I know
easy. Because I never really thought about it.
It can be easy.
Yeah, I never really looked at it as building relationships with people. Again, because of my mistrust, the whole thing, but I build relationships outside of that. That's, and relied on word of mouth, but it's so powerful if you can do all of it. And so that's, Natalie and I have talked and I have stepped up my game a little bit. But I know that there's still more to do. And like one of the platforms where we have our community, where we're growing our community, that I love when I see an email come in, because I'm like, ooh, okay, I can go there. And I know that I'm talking to a person live. I'm not just talking at someone. And that was the other thing that I was feeling like was just, a lot of what I'm seeing there, businesses are just talking at me. And it's
Exactly. And I mean, again, if we remove the confines of like business and social media, if you went to a party and somebody was like just talking at you and they're like, why are you not interested in me. You're like, because you're not paying attention to me. You don't care. You're just talking about yourself. You're just like basically ego driven. Expect me to kowtow to you. It's the same thing when you're just posting and you're like, why is nobody reaching out to me? Well, because you need to go make the first move. Like, go out there and say
thank you.
hello.
Be
Like,
social on
ask
social
someone how they're
media.
doing. Comment on them. It's called social media. There's a reason that engagement is is goal, right? You have to engage with people. And if you're just out there talking and expecting everyone to come to you, you're just delusional.
And that is a perfect time for us to take a break. We're gonna go into the Just
And
Good
now
Business.
it's time for a commercial break.
Yeah. You got the thumbs up right at that moment too, Jordan. They were like,
it's so true. It is so true what you're saying. But right now we want to take a look at the Just Good Business segment. We've got a company. It's a little bit long of a video, guys. Normally we try to keep it within a minute, but because they're doing something so amazing, we want to share that so that if you can support them in any way, absolutely go out there. We don't get anything from it. We just want to recognize people that are doing business in a way that's supporting purpose beyond profit, right? So let me find that clip and I will share it with everyone.
There was no way we could have done this without each other.
We can all come together, like use like our powers in a sense.
We all come from different backgrounds, just different training. Here, the end of your normal workday concluded with seeing almost 1,000 patients.
The first and second day, there's just so many patients, thousands of people, which in general is exceptionally daunting. But we'd come together and always rally.
I really, really think that I was placed on this earth to serve and make people feel better.
When you're here and you're just seeing kids and you're reassuring, like that's exactly why you go into medicine.
Reassurance is one of the most important things in medicine. Just letting people know that this thing is going to be okay.
Out of nowhere, these 7 incredible medical professionals show up wearing great scrubs and just like have a lasting impact on these people's lives.
I just really enjoy watching people kind of like grow before your eyes and like really thrive. To actually have the clinic run that smoothly, like an hour into it, it was awesome.
This FIGS family, I just had the overall feeling and sensation that I am exactly where I'm supposed to be in the world.
Putting others before yourself is part of the job when you work in healthcare. But putting your working conditions, mental health, and physical well-being on the back burner, that's not acceptable. So, we're advocating for our very own bill, the Awesome Humans Bill, which presents solutions for some of the biggest challenges you're facing, including fair pay, mental health, workplace safety, excessive paperwork, training, and more. And we're not stopping until it's passed. We took a group of awesome humans to the U.S. Capitol to meet with members of Congress, to share their stories, and of course, to advocate for the Awesome Humans Bill. What we learned is that change is possible. You just have to fight for it. You've got our backs, and it's time for the world to have yours.
I wanted to clap.
I loved everything they were doing. And when I saw both sides of that, it was just like, okay, this is going to be a little bit longer of a video, but it's important to see that it's not just, buy scrubs and we're donating scrubs. It's also, we're advocating for the healthcare workers and getting them more money, it's just amazing. So I loved what they were doing.
Yes. Good job, Shanna.
Well, I wish I could take credit for that.
Good choice, Shanna.
What did you think, Jordan?
Sorry, what did you say? You cut out for a second.
Oh, I said, what did you think about FIGS?
About figs, did you say?
Yeah, the company that we
About
just featured.
Oh, the figs. Oh, I didn't see a video playing. I didn't see
Oh.
whatever you put on.
Oh, you
So
couldn't?
you just
Oh.
so for the past 2.5 minutes, you saw nothing.
I'm sure it was amazing, but I just saw us. I was like, "There's a video playing. I'm just gonna stay here until they talk to me again."
We'll have to figure that out, Shanna.
Okay, well, I don't know what happened there, but we loved it, and yes,
Yes.
they were amazing. Okay, we're gonna go to a quick break, and then we'll come back with Jordan, and we'll talk a little bit more about digital branding, social media, storytelling, the importance of all of those things. We'll get to spend a little bit more time with you. All right.
All right.
A wise man once asked, "What if starting a business was like jumping out of a plane?" And like 76% of businesses, what if 76% of parachutes failed before you reached the destination? What about those of you who have already jumped? Well, you may still have time to check your business. Pillar5.com, where businesses get it.
Jordan Duvall with Ignite Your Soul Brand. Tonight we are talking about digital growth through heartfelt social strategies, and we have been having a very enlightening conversation on everything we are doing right. No, but it has been a great conversation. I know that I've learned a lot, so I'm excited to hear more from you, and I'm sure our audience will be thrilled too. So, yeah. Did you have another question that you wanted to bring up, Shanna?
Oh, okay. So if we're talking about heartfelt social strategies, and especially in light of the video that you did not see, they had a compelling story that they were telling. We're sending out these awesome humans to these third world countries where there's, can y'all hear the ice cream truck?
Yes.
I'm so sorry. It's so distracting on this side because every night, and it's like 30 degrees outside. So I don't know why there's ice cream going around, but sorry about that. But the social strategy, the part of what they do is they send people out, and they're in the scrubs, of course, but they also donate scrubs and medical supplies to these places where they don't have that. So they shared that video, told a story. As business owners, we don't all have stories like that, but we all have stories to tell. So what are some of the ways that we can share what we do with others?
Great question. Well, I think there's a few different ways. And one, you can tell your story like more from a street cred perspective. Two, another really great way to tell your story is through your values, right? And as if you understand what your values are as a person and as a business owner and for the business itself, then you can convey those values through the stories that you tell, because that's going to ultimately attract in the people that believe what you believe and value what you value. And so that's a really huge way that you can do it that I think is beneficial. And it really comes down to what makes sense to be talking about with your product and your service, right? Like, are you talking about more of the after and the hope? Are you talking about the before and the pain? Is it a combination of the two? So really thinking about the different layers of things about you and your business that matter and that you think will create that trust and create that connection.
I love that you talked about setting the boundaries around what you want to put on social media. I remember I was part of a networking group, and we would have to do like a 7-minute presentation, quarterly or something. And everyone would start with all this stuff about their personal life. And I was like, I don't want to share my personal life on all over the place. Like, people just need to know the business stuff. But I felt like because everyone kept sharing their personal that I had to. And so I reached out to one of the other people and I was like, do I have to show my personal life? Or, that takes And she was like, no, you don't have to do that. There's a lot of people that don't share their personal life. And because there needs to be boundaries around that. Really, there needs to be a lot of boundaries around that. And plus, my guess is it's causing confusion in your brand a little bit, maybe. I don't know, but that would be my guess.
Yeah, well, I think, if you have kids, it's a really good, easy example, right? Like some people, and this is something that I talk to my clients about is, are your kids part of your brand? I have some clients where their kids are part of their brand, right? Whether it's like they're doing stuff around family or motherhood, and it's important for them to share that. And then there's other people where that really has nothing to do with their business and they can choose to share pictures of their kids if they want to. But I think, it's really figuring out, do you want to talk about your kids? Do you want to talk about your family? Do you want to talk about your relationship? You don't have to do any of those things. And I think that, my background getting started in business was in network marketing. And so there was a huge pressure to be sharing everything private all the time. And it was really exhausting. And I'm like, the fact that I do this or that in my private life has nothing to do with the fact that I'm really good at what I do. And it's not an important thing to talk about. I'm like, I don't need to share that. I can if I want to, but what you really need to know is that I'm really good at what I do. And this is why, right? And this is how you're going to benefit. And that's really where you want to be leading with that. And then sharing anything personal becomes a choice. Some people are more open about sharing things about themselves than others. And I think when you create that boundary, right, it's like you have to create that feeling of safety within yourself first before, because otherwise you always feel like you're, like you said, you're like under pressure, peer pressure. They did it that way. They did it that way. I have to do it the way they're doing it. But if you're like, no, this is what feels good to me. And these are my boundaries and you can do whatever you want, but this is my yes. And this is my no. And this is how I'm going to operate. And if you're not interested, you're welcome to leave at any time, right? Like you're here by choice. So I think that really being true to yourself of what's going to feel good to you so you don't feel this constant pressure all the time.
Yeah, Tehran says everything's not for everybody and there's an appropriate place for everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a question about like striking a balance between promotional content and engaging content, because I've got to do both, right?
I think that's a great question. And I think I've studied from a lot of people that, some people are like 80-20 and some people are like, it's, 70-30. And I've sort of come to my own piece about it is I run a business and I sell stuff. And in order to sell stuff that generates revenue so that I can do more and serve more people. So I'm going to sell stuff and I'm going to talk about the stuff that I sell. And that was a huge mindset thing that I had to get over, of feeling like salesy and creepy and all that, of like, oh my gosh, are people going to judge me? It's like, if I don't tell you what I'm doing, the lights are not going to stay on. Like that's just like business math. Right. And so I think getting over that guilt. And so I reached a point where I was like, yeah, I'm going to have sales promotions like 90% of the time. And I'm going to pop in with something that I want to share when I feel like it, because I'm here to serve you and I want you to understand what the service is. And I bet you there's a line of people around the block that be like, she's crazy and she's doing it wrong. And then there's another line around the other block that's like, all hail, hallelujah, she's
That's so true.
So again, it's like, it's really about, listening to what other people say and realize like tactically and strategically different things are going to work for different people. And then, if you want to get into like the inner game and the woo, people are built differently spiritually and personality wise. And so what's going to work for me based on my personality and just who I'm made up as a person is going to be different from somebody else. Right? Like extreme extroverts, like my team's always like, you need to do stories on Instagram. I was like, I'd rather die than have to be on video every day. Like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to dance on video. I'm not going to make stories all the time. I don't want to do that. It makes me miserable and it makes me resent my business and I'm not happy about it. I don't want to do that. So I'm not going to. And so I think ultimately it's also realizing like you can create success however you want. For every tactic and strategy out there, there's someone that's made $1 million.
Yes.
So go pick the one that you like and then go do it.
I love it, Jordan. Get outside the box. right?
Yeah.
And I think what I love, well, I don't know if it's mostly what you're saying, but you're really just talking about being authentically you, just like be you, do your thing, do what works for you, show up consistently, let everybody know who you are, what you stand for as part of, that's really what your messaging is, right? We put so much thought into, I think, overthinking it, opening hook, closing thing. Are they engaging? Should I, tag this? Like even on the video to promote tonight's show, I did like the paid advertisement from the Better Your Business show. And I'm literally going, are we going to have less views because I tagged it on that? Like I shouldn't even be thinking about that. Right.
I mean, let's just talk about network TV. I used to work at a network. What do you think paid for my job? The advertisements, right? The commercials.
Yeah.
Like this, we are built on a society of capitalism and commercialism. Like that's how things roll, right? Until we change the basic fundamental. That's, you have a service or a product and you share it. And if you're interested, you purchase it. And if you're not, you don't.
The biggest brands in the world have already told me 15 times today that I need to get one of their things on top of it too. And they're already one of the biggest brands in the world. And they still reminded me I can do my post of the day or whatever. Right. If Coke still reminded me all those times, then I can too.
Yeah. Well, I think you also have to not take it personally, right? Whenever I do a sales post, I don't get as much engagement as a post that's, maybe talking about like my night out or like what I ate for dinner. But people are paying attention. And I think also, when people express interest in what we offer, I reach out to them and I'm like, what questions can I help answer for you? Right. And I used to be like, I'm some crazy stalker and everyone's going to shun me and blacklist me and no one's ever going to want to talk to me. But the craziest thing happened. People would be like, I don't have any questions right now. Or actually, I do have a question. Can you answer it? Or I'd love to get on a call with you. I'd love to work with you. And I'm like, whoa, this really is kind of magical. Like it's not so bad, right? It's like you walk in, it's like you go to a clothing store and the saleswoman comes over and she's like, can I help you find something? Yeah, actually, I'm looking for this. Or like, no, I'm just browsing. It's the same thing. We just get in our head about like, we just take everything so personally and feel like we're being judged all the time when really it's like, you're a business owner and you're running a business. In order to create a successful business, you need to generate revenue. In order to generate revenue, you need to get leads, you need to talk to leads, you need to close leads. Business math. Like that is just like, there's your MBA. That's it.
Yes.
So
good stuff.
As far as social media goes, are there specific metrics that we should be looking at as business owners? Are there ones that are more important than others?
I mean, this is a great question. And, there's people that are like, you need to have so many followers. There's people that have millions of followers that get no revenue, right? It's like, what is it vanity metrics? I think ultimately, engagement is probably engagement with action is really what you should be measuring. Is if you're putting stuff out there, are people engaging and are they taking action? And whatever is that action. If they're not engaging, well, then you need to figure out what can you do to get them to engage. If they are engaging but not taking action, okay, what do I need to do to get them to take action? And as a business owner, you may need to experiment on a lot of stuff. And don't kill the messenger, but the thing that you did 6 months ago that worked great may not work tomorrow, right? So, and I think that's like, that was a big blow for me to realize of like, oh, what I did last time that worked great doesn't work anymore because the industry's changed or there's stuff going on in the world or the economy. And you just have to have grit to go out there and just be like, I don't know. I'm just going to try it and see what happens. And like, I mean, it's not hope marketing by any means. You're like, I've done all the things, I've done the strategy, but now I got to put myself out there and like do the thing, right?
Well, the market is always evolving. There are new players coming in and algorithms are changing. So many factors influence what gets people's attention. And, if there's someone that's hired like a you, and then there's someone who is like a me, who doesn't do anything, or I'll occasionally post or what have you. There's a big difference in what's being seen and shared and shown and commented on. And if Natalie, who is always out there, talking back to people, I'm so thankful for her, because, every person that comments, she's got something to say to them. And it just takes a lot of the pressure off of me. So either get a Jordan or get a Natalie on your team, people. This is what I'm saying.
Somebody said something to me once. They're like, when you start to get bored of what you're talking about is when people actually start hearing you. And I think that's really key is, it takes a while to practice and like refine and realize what is your expertise? What is that thing that is really your go-to thing? And you got to talk about it all the time, right? You have to really enjoy it. And, like I've run different versions of my challenge many times and I'm just like, wow, it's like I could sleep and like reiterate this stuff, but it was doing that over and over again that really helped me refine what it is that I was talking about. And it's new to the people that are hearing it. And I have people that come through and do my challenge 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and then they're ready to work with me, right? It's like, you think about it, you watch a video or you read a book and you hear something new every time. And so you have to just keep saying it, right? And like if a mindset shift is like, imagine you're talking to your kids, like how many times you have to ask and reposition and bargain and bribe until they listen, right? And so it's like sometimes you have to just continue repeating it again and again and again until they're like, oh, I heard you, right? Because the first, and think about it from yourself, right? You may find someone new on social media and you go to their page and you're just like, oh, that's interesting. I don't know anything about this person. And then you come back and you're like, oh, that caught my attention. They said something that was kind of interesting. And then, a few times go and you're like, all right, every time I read something from this page or this company, I get value out of it. And then you actually go and actively seek it out. So, it's a long game. And I think we're just sold that things happen so instantly, which is not true, right? You have to be in it for the long game. Otherwise, you're just going to set yourself up for disappointment.
Yes. And this should just be one avenue anyway, right? You shouldn't have all your eggs in one basket as far as your building and your network and all that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And again, you have to figure out like, are you more of an introvert? Are you more of an extrovert? Right? If you're more of an introvert, maybe you're posting less or you're, really doing Facebook ads, right? So you're not having to be present or you're hiring someone to do that for you. If you're an extrovert, maybe you're doing more videos. So, I think you can listen to what other people have to say, but you have to filter it through you and decide what works for you and not look at the other person as the be all end all, because again, everyone has a unique map of who they are and what works best for them. And so give yourself that permission to say, I don't like that, or I do like that, and say, this works for me, this doesn't work for me, and then try it, right? And also give yourself time to experiment and see. And then from there, you can decide, I like it or I don't like it.
I love that answer. My husband and I were having a conversation like this the other night, and Jordan, I was basically saying the same thing about one of our kids who's interviewing for a job. And I'm like, let him go out there, decide what he likes. And he was like, that's just spoken like such a mom. That's what he told me. He's like, he needs to do what I tell him to do, right? And I love it because it's true. It's like, how do we decide what we like? We get to something and it's like, well, I did this thing, or I have to stay in this job for 30 years because it's what I chose. Says who? Have fun with it. Right. I mean, it's marketing. It's well, I think it should be fun. It's supposed to be fun. It's marketing, right? I mean, I guess not all marketing is fun, but.
Well, yeah, and I think that's true. I asked my coach something earlier and I was like, oh, I saw this thing and they were doing it this way. Should I do it that way? And she wrote back, she's like, you could, but is it fun? Does it sound fun? Are you excited about it? And I'm like, well, I'm excited to do it this way, which is nothing to do with how the person did it, right? But it inspired me to do something my way, right? And it's like, I'm not going to follow this like their process, but I like doing it that way. It's fun for me. It's easy. I'm just going to do that. I don't know if it's right. I don't know if it's wrong. It just feels good. And I think that like allowing that inner navigation of, the answer, right? Listen to yourself. If it feels miserable and you want to eat glass, then maybe don't do it, right? And I do say that with like you may be like, I don't want to post on social media. You're going to have to eat glass because you have to be out there and show people, right? But you just have to figure out what works best for you. And I used to work with my clients in this capacity of like, create a system that works best for you.
Yeah.
If, doing it every day is good, or batching it, or, recycling the content. There's lots of different ways. And there may be a season of your business where you're live and you're posting every day and you're on fire. And then there may be a season of your business where you're like, I'm just recycling old content. Then there may be a season of your business where you hire someone to post it for you or do it for you.
Yeah.
I think it's being really in tune with what's working best for you in the moment and being okay with changing your mind.
Yes, that's so good. I love that. And we'll end with you, Jordan, on that. But because we do go through different seasons. Like I think about when I first had to start kicking up my social media marketing, it's because I got a neck injury that was making me not be able to leave my house and go network. Otherwise, I was very, very much networking in person. And so when I had that injury, I had to shift towards marketing online to, stay seen and to let people know what I was doing. And so that's what kind of did that for me. But thank God I had a way to be able to shift and pivot during that time and use social media. And now my health is getting better and I've been doing much more networking again, but it's true. We're going to have seasons like that. Now that I'm out there more, I'm not going to be creating more content. I'll be using old content.
Yeah.
So awesome. You've been amazing. Just so
Yes.
much great information. You guys follow her on social media. Her posts are always going to teach you something. We put her website up there for you to check out, which is igniteyoursoulbrand.com. You can get your free essence guide. So Jordan, thank you so much for joining us. And I won't stalk you, but I'll see you wrap.
Excellent. Well, thanks for having me. And I hope it was I hope there was value for you guys.
Definitely. Yes. Thank
Absolutely.
You so much. It was great.
Have a great night.
Thank you. All right. So it looks like it's time for, it's your boy? Is it time?
It is.
All right. We're having a surprise special guest appearance tonight with It's Your Boy Fitzroy.
All right. Hopefully no technical difficulties. I'm going to bring him to the stage.
All ready to compete.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
We can hear you.
Nice. Okay, so I figured that we could try to play the game one more time. But were you going to say something?
No.
Oh, okay.
I mean, in my head, I was saying something, but let's go.
I saw it.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so real quick. The subject today is going to be the top 5 most followed businesses on TikTok. So what do you think the top 5 businesses are? So just a recap of the rules. You guys are going to say or tell me what you think the top 5 are, and then I'll reveal what that is, and then whoever gets the most correct wins.
Wait, the top 5 businesses on TikTok?
Yeah, can you give me an example of like how I say that? Like, I don't want to say what my one is that I want to say, but would it be like the name of a business or like what they're selling, or how would we do that?
Yes, so whatever the name of the business is, whatever the name of the business is. They have a TikTok channel.
I can't say wigs, selling wigs on TikTok.
Correct. No, that's not a business.
No. We just started our TikTok channel, Fitzroy. Come on.
Hey, well, you can guess. What do you think is big? And this is good for if you want to promote on TikTok. These are some channels that you may want to follow just to see what they're doing. But what do you think the top 5 businesses are?
This sucks because I feel like last week I was on top of it and there was so much
perhaps.
And now I have no clue. We just talked about the fact that I'm never on social media, and then you pick this game.
I know.
I think it's rigged.
Could I just tell you, when I was posting for the show the other night, I came across a girl who breeds moths for a living, and I literally watched all her videos.
Moths?
Moths, yes, MOTHS. It was very interesting. I really just have no clue.
Okay. So I'm gonna. Okay. Well, I wouldn't know. I feel like we should be able to go with industry. I feel like you should give us a break here and let us go with industry versus the person. I'm with Natalie on that.
With industry, I don't
Yeah,
have
so,
that
you know,
on this.
the type of business versus the name of a business.
Unless it's like Netflix.
I mean,
Amazon,
these
Amazon
are business.
affiliates.
These are businesses that you know.
Oh, okay.
Maybe one of them are not, but for the most part, they're businesses that you should know.
Okay.
Coke or Pepsi?
Target.
Ooh.
Wait, hold on. Give me your top 5.
Okay.
Can we do 5 total between the 2 of us?
Yeah, I was gonna say, can we just work together on this, Natalie? Okay. You said Coke or Pepsi. I like Coke. I think
so Coke, Target, Walmart.
Amazon. I think you were right there. And it's got to be an alcohol. It's either alcohol or marijuana. It's going to be one of the two.
I'm going to say marijuana.
Yeah, those have got to be okay. Jolly Green Giant.
Okay, man, are they still around? Oh, you mean for marijuana? I thought you meant the peas.
That's where Shanna shops. I'm just kidding. All right, how do we do, Fitzroy?
Okay, so what'd you say? Coke, Target, Amazon, and Jolly Green Giant?
And we said Walmart.
Yeah. Walmart. Okay, the top 5 most followed TikTok businesses are: number 5 is Apple.
I didn't get that one. As we all have iPhones here. Okay.
Number 4 is Gymshark. I have no idea what Gymshark is.
Oh, is that like a fitness thing?
Yeah, it's like a fitness.
Oh, that's why I don't know it.
What are you implying?
Dana's anti.
Okay.
All right. Number 3 is Disney.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Number 2, oddly enough, Red Bull.
Oh,
yeah, it gives you wings.
It gives.
Have cute girls on theirs.
And number 1 is Netflix.
Oh, I got Netflix right. Yes.
You did say Netflix. Okay.
Well done. Yep.
Yeah, I'm really disappointed about Apple.
You can look for us on IMDb, which is International Movie Database for Netflix. Help us get on there.
Okay. I need heads up about the game next week.
Okay, but I don't want you to research it. It has to be off the top of the dome.
Well, yeah, but I need to know like what type of game we're going to play so that if it's social media related, I can at least go to the different channels. You don't have to tell me which one specifically. No, this was, I like that.
I loved it. Yeah. Good job, Fitzroy.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll see you live next week.
I will bid you guys adieu. Thank you so much.
For joining us.
All right.
And sorry about last week, you guys. I don't know what happened.
Life happens. Technology.
I'm going to just call myself the winner for last week then. Natalie this week. I'll just call myself the winner.
That's fair.
Last week anyway, Shanna.
We'll do the tiebreaker next week.
That sounds good. All right. We'll see you next week.
We'll see you then.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, we got like 2 minutes to finish the grants and the money minute. So I'm going to jump into my money minute real fast. So somebody had reached out to me. I had put a post around shopping for the holidays, and someone asked me, where do you save your money? So I wanted to bring up a high yield savings account. Shanna's going to bring that up for you guys.
Oh,
if you go to Google, you could, I sent the link to you.
Okay.
The one I sent to your link, if you could pull that up. You could just go to Google, put in high yield savings account and look at which ones are doing best. Couple things that you want to look at is that they don't have any minimums for you to open the account, and they're FDIC insured. What does that mean? It means you're insured up to $250,000. I know Betterment actually is insuring up to $2 million. There might be some, fine line stuff you need to read regarding that, but go in there, and actually Betterment, they're at 5.5% right now. That's their savings account. It's a high yield savings. So it's an online savings account. You don't have a brick and mortar you can go into, but there's no fees. You get a higher interest rate, and it's not locked up like it would be in a CD. Did you see the link I sent you? Just put in, I think it was under Investopedia, best high yield saving account rates for November.
The link was on my phone. Sorry.
That's okay.
Okay.
And really, that's just what you guys are looking for. So just look, you're going to see, in fact, I've had mine that I've been in a little while. And after I went back here, I was like, maybe
there it is.
I should change my account. Maybe it's time because the rates are so good. But if you can see, it'll say FDIC insured, what's the interest rate that they're giving, and how much you need to have in the account to earn that interest rate. And a lot of them don't have a minimum. That's what you're looking for. I mean, if you pull up, if you're going through you'll see, like I bank with Wells Fargo. I think that the interest rate on my savings account is like 0.35. It'll come up in the middle of it. And it just makes me laugh when you're around all these that are at 5%. Or if you look at CDs in the bank, they're less than 2%. Your high yield savings account are much higher. And you're really just transferring that money back and forth. One of the things that I like about it is you don't have quick access to it. So you're not impulse buying it, not that you can't just pay yourself back from your account, but personally for myself, I name all the accounts inside my account. So my money's intentionally going somewhere. Christmas, if I, like when we go to Cancun, I always have a little yacht bucket because we're renting a yacht, right? Little things like that to make your money intentional and exciting because it's going to someplace and then you're getting a better interest rate. So you can put your Christmas fund in one of those liquid money. All right, Miss Shanna, grants.
Okay. So I'm going to pull up the grants real quickly. I'm going to just share the same screen that's over here as soon as it comes up, hopefully, eventually, maybe. Everything is going so slowly right now. But there are 4 grants that we're going to cover tonight while I'm waiting on this all to show up like it should. Here we go. I'll pull it over to the side. That way you guys can take a look at them as well. Possibly. You get to see how crazy. Okay, there we go. Tory Burch Foundation, the Fellows Program, $5,000 grant. We talked about this one already. It expires tonight. So do this one tonight if you're interested in that. Women entrepreneur, 51% more owned and controlled, 21 years or older. All of the requirements are there. ToryBurchFoundation.org/fellows. The next one is the American Association of University Women. This is up to $20,000. You've got until November 15th, but they've got several different opportunities there for women. So just look at any one of these things on their website, AAUW.org, resources, programs, fellowships, and grants. The next one we've got is the Fearless Fund, Fearless Strivers, $20,000 grant. This is in conjunction with MasterCard. So 51% Black women owned, revenue generating. They're looking for around $50,000 a year annual revenue, formed under United States law, operating in the United States. This one started, but they do not have an end date. So just go ahead and jump on that if this is something that you qualify for. And again, it's just strongly preferred. So go ahead and apply. It won't hurt. They'll let you know if you don't qualify. And then the last one, Walmart has opened again their local community grants, nonprofits, cyber grants, front door verified. And then there's 8 areas of funding for which you can apply. So check out, I put the wrong link there, but we will correct that before we get to, before we post it on there, but $250 to $5,000 for those grants. So I think that was it for us with grants.
Awesome. Yes. So we'll have that on social media for you tonight or tomorrow morning at the latest if we're just not able to get that straightened out. I follow a grant lady on social media. She said you should expect for every 10 grants you apply for to get 2. So that's your numbers game, people. Qualify for 10. If it doesn't work out, it might need a shift in the way you're doing things. But all right. So great episode tonight. Was Jordan awesome? Learned so much from her. She was awesome. Really enjoyed having her on the show. Thank you to everyone who joined us. And we will see you guys next week. Thank you, Fitzroy, for jumping on live with us and playing that game with us. Shannon, just thank you for being awesome in all the different ways that you are. We appreciate you guys. Do something today that will help you better your business. And we will see you soon. Take care.
Our goal is simple: to help you achieve the dream and vision you first had when you thought about starting a business. We're here to make growing your business less complicated. There are building blocks to build a sustainable business. We promise to seek them out and address them all. The Better Your Business Show starts now.